Infrastructure Development in Africa from the year 2018 to 2023, His Excellency the President endorsed the Right Honorable Raila Odinga as Kenya's candidate for the chairperson of the African Union Commission. Noting that the Right Honorable Raila Odinga's candidacy for the position of the chairperson of the African Union Commission was not only his personal ambition, but also as a symbol of Kenya's deep commitment to the goals of the African Union and its desire to actively participate in shaping the continent's future. Commending the government of Kenya, led by His Excellency the President William Ruto, for the Pan-African campaign in support of the Right Honorable Raila Odinga, reinforced by Kenya's commitment to regional and continental integration and cooperation and guided by Kenya's foreign policy. Further commending the remarkable achievement by the Right Honorable Raila Odinga for emerging the runner-up in the election of the chairperson of the African Union Commission on Saturday, 15 February 2025 in Addis Ababa. Recognizing the need to sustain Kenya's growing prominence on the continental stage and advocacy for a more united, prosperous, and self-reliant Africa in resonance with the aspirations of millions of Africans across the continent, who seek to see the continent empowered to chart its own course in the global arena. Now, therefore, Honorable Speaker, this House records its thanks to His Excellency Dr. William Ruto, CGH President and Commander-in-Chief of the Defense Forces of the Republic of Kenya, for endorsing the Right Honorable Raila Odinga, EGH, as Kenya's candidate for election as a chairperson of the African Union Commission, AUC, and for coordinating the continental campaign in support of his candidacy. Two, this House expresses its profound thanks to the Right Honorable Raila Odinga, EGH, for demonstrating his unwavering commitment to the service of Africa by offering himself as Kenya's candidate for the position of the chairperson of the African Union Commission, for his leadership in advancing Pan-African unity, for his dedication to the development and integration of the African continent, and for his distinguished attempt at this election in which he emerged as the runners-up. And three, this House records its congratulations to His Excellency Mahmoud Ali Yusuf for his election as the chairperson of the African Union Commission on Saturday, 15 February 2025. Honorable Speaker, it's a long motion, Honorable Speaker, but even as long as it is, we are seeking to do three things, Honorable Speaker. One is to record our thanks to the President for his dedicated support and his very vigorous campaign across the continent for the campaign for the candidacy of the Right Honorable Raila Odinga as the chairperson of the AUC Commission. Two is to congratulate and express our thanks as a House and on behalf of the Kenyan people to His Excellency the Right Honorable Raila Odinga, EGH, for demonstrating that unwavering commitment to the service of the African continent. Honorable Speaker, we cannot say it enough that the dedication with which we saw the Right Honorable Prime Minister and His Excellency the President William Ruto work together throughout the campaign, and not failing to mention our dedicated foreign mission officers at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, led by the Principal Secretary, Sing'oei Korir, and His Excellency the Prime Cabinet Secretary, Musalia Mudavadi, who dedicated immense time and resources across the continent in campaigning for the candidacy of the Right Honorable Raila Odinga. Honorable Speaker, the Right Honorable Prime Minister Raila Odinga needs no introduction to anybody in the continent. He is a man whose ideals as a Pan-Africanist need no introduction to anybody in the continent, and indeed, we must take this opportunity also to thank the many nations across the continent that stood not just with the nation and the Republic of Kenya in this campaign, but also with the Right Honorable Raila Odinga, the Pan-Africanist par excellence, in the campaigns and the election in Addis Ababa over the weekend. Honorable Speaker, let me also take this opportunity as we congratulate the winner of this election, Honorable Mahmoud Ali Yusuf, who is also a good African from our neighboring country in Djibouti. As we congratulate him, Honorable Speaker, I cannot fail to note with immense gratitude again to Prime Minister Raila Odinga that as much as he was leading all through, especially the first, second, and almost the third vote, even at a time when he was leading, when he got to the sixth vote, Honorable Speaker, after the sixth vote, he opted in the spirit of Pan-Africanism not to take that assembly through another round of campaigning and elections, because the Right Honorable Raila Odinga had the choice to fight on. And because there were many people who were supporting him, then our brother Muhammad Yusuf probably would not have gotten the 2/3. But the former Prime Minister opted, instead of taking Africa through the rigors of waiting for another few months to get into another campaigning season, he opted to allow the assembly to go ahead and vote and see if the person who was leading then in that round could achieve the 2/3. That was required, Speaker, by myself and the leader of my seat. For the position of the chairperson of the African Union, Commission, Muhamed, was building on his previous as a chairperson of AUC. Therefore, I want to congratulate the Right Honorable Prime Minister for that commitment, for his dedication, for that spirit of Pan-Africanism, for knowing that Africa and our unity as a continent is paramount, and putting Africa and Pan-Africanism ahead of his own personal interests, and putting the interests of the continent and the unity of the continent ahead of his interests, Honorable Speaker. And it is commendable. That is the spirit in every competition, that there will be a winner, there will be a loser. Raila Odinga did not leave Addis Ababa as a loser. He left Addis Ababa as a winner who has exemplified his leadership in the African continent and in the world. And Honorable Speaker, we commend him. We note our thanks as a House, and on behalf of the Kenyan people, to the Right Honorable Prime Minister for that commitment to the African nation. And I want to encourage him to continue serving not just Kenya, but the African continent and the world with the same commitment and dedication that he has shown over the years, Honorable Speaker. The Right Honorable Prime Minister, Honorable Speaker, you know, is not just a Kenyan leader, is a continental leader. As we have said in this motion, he has served in continental bodies. And I know in the future he could even serve in world bodies, Honorable Speaker, because the world needs his experience, the world needs his ideals and his leadership in many aspects, as we do need them in this country, Honorable Speaker, as he continues to serve us and the world. And we wish him well. We wish the Honorable Muhammad Yusuf well in his service. Let him understand that we are all in a competitive election, and the people of Kenya remain committed to the ideals of the African Union and to the integration of the African continent as one united continent. Even with the regional blocks, Honorable Speaker, SADC, EAC, COMESA, all these regional bodies, Honorable Speaker, seek to integrate. And as we've said with the EAC partner states, we are not just widening, deepening, and tightening our cooperation within the East African region, but we seek to deepen, widen, and tighten the integration of all these bodies under the African Union, under the leadership of Yusuf Muhammad, but also with the support of Pan-Africanists and great leaders like Raila Odinga. And of course, the able leadership of President William Ruto, who is the chairperson of the EAC, East African Community, Honorable Speaker, and has a role in the reform agenda of the African Union. And we look forward to working together with Prime Minister Raila Odinga, the chairperson Muhammad Yusuf, and President William Ruto, as we seek to reform the African Union. And I want to believe, Honorable Speaker, under the leadership of President William Ruto and these two other great leaders, AU will be reformed into a body or an organization that addresses the needs and aspirations of all African people, Honorable Speaker, so that when we speak as one people. Honorable Speaker, some years back, Africa was seen as that dark continent of want and poverty. Today, the world over, everybody appreciates that Africa is the continent of the future, the present and the future. The resources, the expertise we have in this continent, the human capital we have in this continent, Honorable Speaker, I will not be surprised if in the years to come, we will see, as we have seen great African leaders like Barack Obama leading countries as big and as powerful as the United States of America, Honorable Speaker. We have seen many Kenyans today, including the young lady from Nyamira, who is now a senator in one of the state assemblies in the US. We have seen Kenyans of Somali origin become congressmen and women in the US, become senators in the US, Honorable Speaker, because Africa is the future of the world. Honorable Speaker, with the resources that we have in human capital, with an aging population in the Americas, in the West, in Africa, in Asia, from the year 2018 and the Far East, Honorable Speaker, and with our emerging and very productive and very well-educated youth, for his leadership here to conquer in the world. Advancing Pan-African unity, only conquer the world. The Pan-African campaign of leaders like Raila Odinga and His Excellency the President William Ruto work together able guidance throughout the campaign, commitment to the service of Africa, and with the support by offering himself as Kenya's candidate for the position of the chairperson of the African Union Commission. And in conclusion, Honorable Speaker, as I move this motion and ask the leader of minority to second, allow me also to use this opportunity to express the disgust of this House on the actions and the words of one of us, the member for Juja, the Honorable Koimburi. And Honorable Speaker, as much as the police have taken action, and I do hope they will be able to charge the member for Juja, Honorable Speaker, even within our own standing orders, we have put it that you cannot disparage or even discuss a foreign president, especially a president of a foreign country. For the member for Juja to have uttered the unfortunate and careless words that he uttered over the weekend, for his leadership in advancing Pan-African unity, Speaker, House expresses its profound thanks on a pulpit to the Right Honorable Raila Odinga, EGH, saying that other African leaders were being bribed, Honorable Speaker. The member for Juja should know that Prime Minister Raila Odinga did not run for chairmanship of AU under the instigation of William Ruto. Prime Minister Raila Odinga chose to run as chairperson of AUC, of the African Union Commission, on his own volition, because for demonstrating his unwavering and an African statesman who deserved that position. President William Ruto did not choose to support Prime Minister Raila Odinga because he was his competitor in the last elections, or because they have served in ODM together. You know, President William Ruto is a founder member of ODM. He chose to support Prime Minister Raila Odinga as a deserving Kenyan and African statesman. The presidents, many presidents who voted for Raila Odinga to be chairperson, did not do it at the instigation or because they were influenced by anybody. Honorable Speaker, we must at the same time express our disgust by the actions of this member of parliament who claimed that the Republic of Kenya had spent 13 billion shillings. From where? Money that we have not appropriated, Honorable Speaker. But you know, Honorable Speaker, there are some of these members of parliament who sit here. Unfortunately, this member is even never in the house. So he doesn't even understand how money is appropriated. He's probably in a police station now. I don't know where he is and I don't care. I hear someone asking me, Honorable Speaker, where he is. Honorable Speaker, I want to propose the member for Juja must be named for this house because it is a bad habit he has formed. A very bad habit. You will recall last year, the same member, when members voted for the finance bill, yes, he claimed that they were being paid, I think, 200,000 shillings to vote for the finance bill. This 2 million shillings. 2 million shillings. He came here, stood there and apologized, Honorable Speaker. And the House, out of our own magnanimity, we chose to forgive him. When the impeachment motion came, he then went again to claim in some funeral somewhere where, you know, he's fond of following some other man there in funerals. He went to some funeral and claimed that members again were paid during the impeachment motion. Over 280 members, 282 members who voted in the impeachment motion, he claimed they were being paid. And he mentions figures from his head. And I see the person he follows in funerals repeating the same things. And that's how you know birds of a feather flock together. Honorable Speaker, now he has moved from members of parliament on the finance bill, impeachment motion, to heads of state of friendly countries. We cannot and we must not allow that kind of habit to take root in this house, and we must take action. And I want to invite us. Somebody must move a motion, or should move a motion, to name this member. So that tomorrow, this is what makes this house, Honorable Speaker, be treated with a lot of contempt and indignity because of the things that we say, not now of just our house. We have taken it outside to speak, say disparaging things about our country, disparaging things about presidents and heads of state and only nations conquer of the world. The African leadership campaign, Friends of Kenya, Honorable Speaker, led by the... How do you think those friends of ours who supported Prime Minister Raila Odinga would feel if they had their heads of state were being paid to vote? You know, Honorable Speaker, it is so annoying. I want to end it there, but we must name this member. We must. Because if we don't, he will make it a habit. Tomorrow, he will make all manner of allegations against any one of us here or against the president. And you know, because they have made it a sport to move around the country in funerals, insulting the president, and I hear they call themselves, I heard themselves calling them Itungati. Honorable Speaker, Itungati in French means people who have given themselves, heroes who have given themselves their time, their resources, their time and energy for the sake of the nation. But if you find yourself following a man in funerals and wherever you follow that man and calling yourself Itungati, you are not a Itungati, you are a slave to a man. Those who are following those who are slaves, they are not Itungatis. And lost slaves who are now disparaging heads of nations of Africa. Shame on them, Honorable Speaker. I beg to move and request the leader of minority, the Honorable Junet Muhamed, my good friend, to second this motion to appreciate the government of Kenya, His Excellency the President, His Excellency former Prime Minister Raila Odinga, and His Excellency Mahmoud Ali Yusuf.
Junet.
Mr. Speaker, I stand to second the motion that has been moved by the leader, Majority Leader, Honorable Kimani Ichungwah. Mr. Speaker, first and foremost, I want to take this opportunity to thank His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Kenya, Honorable William Samoei Ruto, for his efforts and for his immense contribution towards the campaign of our Kenyan candidate in the African Union Commission chairmanship contest, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the President of this country and his government has done everything possible to campaign, to lobby, and to do everything possible to make sure that we win in this contest, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, it was not a secret that the President visited African capitals and met presidents to lobby and campaign for our Kenyan candidate, Mr. Speaker, and at the same time also received presidents in this country, Mr. Speaker, to talk to them and tell them that we have the best candidate in the contest.
In advancing
Mr. Speaker, we will not forget that. As a party, African party, as people, Mr. Speaker,
President William Ruto
we will remind everyone who wants to forget
to the right
that the President
Raila
campaigned
Odinga by offering
and
himself
lobbied
as
for our
Kenya's
candidate, Mr. Speaker.
and careless words that he
Mr.
uttered
Speaker,
over the
also I
weekend
want to thank
becomes
the Right Honorable
with an aging population
Prime
in
Minister,
the
former Prime
Americas,
Minister Raila
West
Odinga,
Africa,
Mr. Speaker,
Asia,
for
as the
stepping
police have taken action.
out.
And I do
Because,
hope they
Mr.
will
Speaker,
be able
it
to
requires a
channel the
lot of
actions
courage,
and the words
Mr.
of one
Speaker,
of
and
us,
determination
the member for Juja.
to come out and say that I want to represent
Honorable
my
Komburi.
country at a very high level, Mr. Speaker, of the African Union. Many Kenyans will want, Mr. Speaker, to contest for that kind of position. But it requires courage. It requires somebody who has the stamina, Mr. Speaker, to show and to come out and say that I want to run for this, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this country could not have a better candidate than him. Because his credentials are known, Mr. Speaker. And he has served the African Union, Mr. Speaker, at the level of High Representative on Infrastructure, Mr. Speaker, before, for a period of, I think, 3 years. And he had performed exemplarily very well. And he had done a good job. And, Mr. Speaker, he had all the credentials as a Pan-Africanist to contest for that high office, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, in an election contest, there must be a winner and there must be a loser. And you can also go on a draw. Mr. Speaker, it is not easy to raise the confidence of over 20 presidents of a country, Mr. Speaker. You have seen the first round, he got 22 votes. Those are 22 countries that have faith and confidence in the candidature of Honorable Raila Odinga, Mr. Speaker. Many of us, if we were to contest, we might not even get 2 presidents or 3, Mr. Speaker, or even 1. Even 1 vote of a president, Mr. Speaker. But he could manage to raise those numbers because he's a Pan-Africanist, he's known in this continent, and he has done and participated in many things affecting this country, Mr. Speaker, in solving them. Mr. Speaker, the election went as it went. Even when he was going for the election, his last speech at Bomas of Kenya, in a conference that was held by the ODM party, he said he'll be very happy if he wins, and in the event he loses, he has a home to come back to. And life continues as usual, and he will do his things, his business, and other things that he normally does. But, Mr. Speaker, what has shocked me as a Kenyan, Mr. Speaker, and up to now I am still in shock, is not the loss that we had in Addis Ababa. Mr. Speaker, what has shocked me is that the celebration that happened in some parts of our country after we lost that election, Mr. Speaker. This was not a Kenyan contest, Mr. Speaker. Some of the people who are celebrating are keeping now busy the majority leader here. Can they sit down so that they can hear what I'm saying, Mr. Speaker? Mr. Speaker.
Order, Wamawa and...
These are some of the people who are celebrating. She celebrated, but that is fine, because in a contest you can...
you cannot cross the aisle like that.
To move around the country in
Mr.
funerals,
Speaker,
insulting the president.
It's immaterial what she wants to do.
He mentions figures from
Mr. Speaker,
his head.
Go on.
Kenyans knew
And there is
very
the
well
person he follows in funerals
that this is not an
repeating
election
the same
that is
things.
going
And that's
to
how
happen
you know.
within the
Honorable
country.
Speaker, we must at the same
It's
time
not an
express our
election that's
disgust.
normally announced at Bomas of Kenya. This was an election that was happening at the African Union. And some of the Kenyans became so unpatriotic and supporting a candidate against Kenya, Mr. Speaker, and even campaigning for him openly in the social media, in all kind of sphere, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I cannot be so unpatriotic. If today a Kenyan of any color, any race, any religion, any creed comes out to contest for an international position, Mr. Speaker, I will support. In the spirit of being a Kenyan, Mr. Speaker. That's all. The first thing that we need to look at is being a Kenyan. Not from the community you come from, not from your color, not from your religion, not from anything. Mr. Speaker, how unpatriotic can some Kenyans be that they fought the Right Honorable Prime Minister for 1 year he has been campaigning. And after losing, they celebrated. We shall revisit that, I can assure you. We will revisit that one. It will not go. We will revisit at the right time. We will also have our day to laugh and to celebrate, Mr. Speaker. And it's not very far, it is coming, Mr. Speaker. It's not very far. You can take that to the bank, and I will remind you The day I'm celebrating that, you also celebrated your day. This is my day. Inshallah. Bismillah al-Karim. Mr. Speaker, I also want to congratulate the winner. In a contest, someone must win. And a country that is who is our neighbor in the same region, the Eastern African region, won the election. So we have every reason to celebrate also and to congratulate them, Mr. Speaker, because in a contest we expected to have a winner and a loser. But we expected ourselves to win, but we did not win. So we cannot be so losers. We say, there are many things that happened. I was in Addis Ababa, Mr. Speaker. I don't want to talk about them now, but that is part of the election. You don't have to complain. You don't have to begrudge anyone. That is normal. All of us defeated someone by being in this house, Mr. Speaker. All of us defeated someone by being in this house, Mr. Speaker. We had opponents, Mr. Speaker, in the election. Even you, to be elected as a speaker, you had opponents. We had a candidate, Azimio, and Kenya Kwanza proposed you, and you got the highest votes. And now today you are presiding over here as our speaker. You are a speaker for all of us. We are not saying, oh, we have lost, now another speaker must sit next to you, the one who lost to you. We cannot work like that. So, Mr. Speaker, in a contest, it goes that way. But I want Kenyans to get experience out of this contest, because this is not going to be the last time a Kenyan is going to contest for an international job. And I want to encourage the government of the Republic of Kenya to propose and support Kenyans who are qualified to go for international positions, Mr. Speaker. The UN Secretary General job is coming up in the next year, Mr. Speaker. If there's a Kenyan who feels he's qualified to become the Secretary General of the UN, he should go for it. And Kenyans will support. It doesn't matter whether you win or lose. It doesn't matter. Go for it. So, Mr. Speaker, many countries in this region have done very well, much better than our country, in terms of positioning their people in this multilateral organization, Mr. Speaker. We have not done very well as a country in that sphere, Mr. Speaker. We have to improve our socks and make sure that a lot of Kenyans, even the ones who are celebrating, instead of holding people in villages, in somewhere there in Nyeri, release them, let them go for these international positions if they are qualified. Don't hold people there buying them uji every day, and they are qualified, they have papers, they have masters, they have degrees, everything. Take them out, Mr. Speaker. Wamunyoro is not a church. Unless it's another Shakahola place, where people now go there and they want to die there inside there. So, Mr. Speaker, in conclusion, I want to say that I have thanked the President on behalf of my party, on behalf of my constituency, and on behalf of myself, for showing leadership as our President and supporting the candidature of our party leader. I want to also congratulate my party leader. He's a strong man. Very strong man, Mr. Speaker. Possible. And he always has a second chance. And to come out and say that I want to run for this. If there is any other this country could position to serve in the continent, he will be available. Because in the world, he is everywhere, Mr. Speaker. Now he has been available, Mr. Speaker. He has not the loss that we had in Addis Ababa. And we will continue supporting him. Now I am still in shock. Leader is not the loss that we had in Addis Ababa. We provide our services to the people of this country and to the people of this country, Mr. Speaker, in whichever level we can, in whichever capacity that we can. There are people who thought that this contest was political. They thought that, oh, this is a contest now, or if we lose, ODM will get annoyed. I don't know, annoyed of what? If there are people we should be annoyed with, it should be Djibouti. The people who talk our cup. Speaker, what has shocked me? Yeah, why should we be annoyed with somebody? Is that the celebration that happened in some parts of our country after we lost that election? We should be annoyed with the people who defeated us. And we are not annoyed with them also. We are congratulating them for doing a good job. Because African Union belongs to all of us. As a nation, we are part of the African Union. So, Mr. Speaker, with those few remarks, I wish to second and warn the naysayers that you should avoid that kind of thing going forward in future. Mr. Speaker, because if you are going to oppose a Kenyan because of his political affiliation, because of domestic issues, it's a very primitive way of looking at things. And I know some of the people, why we impeach them also it was not in the impeachment paper, but it's primitivity. Some of them are very primitive people. Village mentality. You know, people want to go to international organizations. Instead of supporting them, you are judging them on the basis of what happens in a village, Mr. Speaker. I'm very sad about that. I do not expect people to celebrate the loss of a Kenyan in an international contest. It's a shame. Whichever you are, you cannot celebrate the loss of a Kenyan in an international contest. I repeat again. You cannot do that. You cannot do that. Now, if our athlete loses in a contest now, in the New York Marathon or in the London Marathon, you expect me to celebrate? No. Because it's not from my community? It's not from my region? It's not from my religion? It's not from my village? It's not from my what? Shame on you. Shame. And those people who did that must desist. And never to repeat that. I must say that on the floor of this House, Mr. Speaker. Because this is where we address issues of concern to the people. And that is an issue of high concern to the people, Mr. Speaker. When we are telling Kenyans that you cannot run in any contest outside Kenya. In the first place, even if we run here in Kenya, they will not vote for us, I know. We have taken very serious that matter, and we don't want it to happen in our country again. We want to support our people. We want to support our Kenyans, wherever they are. That is why we impeach certain people, because they were telling us we are not shareholders of this country. That's what they told us. We have not forgotten. They told us that you are not shareholders in this country. I don't know when the shareholding certificate was issued in this country. At independence, everyone was there. You should call for annual general meetings so that we know which shares we have. So you get impeached on that kind of nonsense and you continue